Lesson 2 Class 9 mpboard Books Class 9th English Reader Lesson 2 The Victory. Alexander the Great had won many battles. His desire was to conquer the world. Proceed to the Golden Bird, he ordered his brave generals. India was known as the Golden Bird in the world at that time. With Alexander's command, the generals consulted the map and the army turned towards India. It crossed the mighty Himalayas through the long terrain in the cold, entered the country and reached the river Sindhu. There was a battle between Alexander's army and the army of King Puru of India. King Puru was defeated, and was made captive. With the first victory in India, Alexander was very happy. After the day's battle, when Alexander's army was resting, he mounted his horse Bucephalus and quietly slipped out of the tent to see more of the Indian countryside. Alexander moved on the streets and drove his horse on and on. The houses remained dark, without lights. The women were wailing, children were crying. Alexander felt no pity. Instead, he felt proud of his own victory. Soon he turned his horse on the other side, towards the jungle. As he moved further, he noticed a bonfire at a distance. He went closer and found some Indian saints performing the yajna, religious ritual, on the bank of the Sindhu. He stood quietly behind the thick trunk of a tree. It was winter time. The wind was blowing and it was extremely cold. The saints wore no clothing on the upper parts of their bodies. Alexander said to himself, "Oh, they are poor and they do not have anything to cover their bodies." He felt sorry for the saints. "I must do something for these naked fakirs." It was night already. He went back to his tent, woke up his chief general and said, "Bring thick woolen blankets and woolen clothes immediately. I need them urgently." Heaps of thick blankets and woolen clothes were brought. In no time they were loaded on horses and Alexander himself led them, riding back to the jungle. The caravan stopped where the saints were performing the yajna. Alexander found the saints were still busy chanting hymns. He moved his horse closer, but the saints took no notice of the presence of Alexander and his caravan. In order to get their attention, Alexander patted his horse, and coughed. Still no one paid any attention. Alexander got irritated now. He dismounted and proceeded towards the oldest saint. The saint did not notice and Alexander felt totally ignored. Then he approached one of the saints and called, "Fakir, listen, I am the famous Alexander the Great." The saint looked up and asked coolly and very sweetly, "What do you want, young man? What can I do for you?" Alexander was taken aback with the question. He paused. Well, I don't want anything from you. I am Alexander the Great, I have conquered your Hindustan," Alexander announced proudly. He continued, "When I saw you people naked in this cold weather, I brought woolen blankets and clothes for all of you." The saint threw a sharp glance at Alexander. He came closer and put his hand on Alexander's shoulder. "Young man, so you are the famous Alexander, who conquers the countries by robbing them." The saint gave a loud laugh and asked, "Tell me, my child, how can a robber be a conqueror and a giver?" And the saint looked deep into Alexander's eyes. Alexander turned pale, not knowing what to say. He stood still like a statue. The saint continued, "Well, my child, if you really want to conquer the world, first win the hearts of the countrymen with love. As for us, We have renounced the world and we do not need anything. Whatever is left with us now, we can give that too. Now tell me, what do you want? Alexander could not believe his ears. He had never seen or heard things like this. The feeling of guilt made him sad suddenly. He saluted the saint. Without saying a word, he mounted his horse and went back to his camp. The caravan followed the master. It was dawn and Alexander could hear the chattering of birds. He had come to his decision, and he stopped his forward march. He released King Puru and put off his future plans to conquer other parts of India. In next slide the lesson is explained in Hindi. Subscribe the channel, click the bell icon to see the latest videos.
सिकंदर ने संसार को जीतने की इच्छा की। उसने भारत की तरफ बढ़ने के लिए अपने वीर जनरलों को आदेश दिया। सेना ने हिमालय पर्वतों को पार किया। वे भारत में घुस गए और सिंधु नदी पूर्व पहुँचे। उसने राजापुर को हरा दिया और उसे बंदी बना लिया। फिर सिकंदर अपने घोड़े पर सवार हुआ। उसने महिलाओं और बच्चों को विलाप करते देखा। उसने उनके ऊपर कोई तरस नहीं दिखाया, बल्कि वह अपनी विजय पर गर्वित हुआ। फिर वह जंगल की तरफ गया। उसने सिंधु नदी के किनारे कुछ भारतीय संतों को यज्ञ करते पाया। उनके ऊपर वाले आधे शरीर पर वस्त्र नहीं थे। सिकंदर का मुख्य जनरल मोटे कंबलों और ऊनी कपड़ों के ढेर ले आया। उनका काफिला संतों के नजदीक रुक गया। संतों ने सिकंदर की उपस्थिति को अनदेखा कर दिया। सिकंदर ने एक संत अपना परिचय दिया। संत उससे जानना चाहता था कि उसे सिकंदर को उस संत से क्या चाहिए। सिकंदर ने संत को बताया कि उसने उनके देश को जीत लिया है। वह नंगे संतों को कंबल और कपड़े देना चाहता है। संत ने उसे लुटेरा कहकर पुकारा और कहा कि वह विजेता या दानव नहीं है। संत ने सिकंदर को उपदेश दिया कि प्यार द्वारा देशवासियों के दिलों को जीते, तभी वह विश्व को जीत पाएगा। जो कुछ उसे सिकंदर को चाहिए, वे संत उसे देने के लिए तैयार है। अपराध की भावना ने सिकंदर को दुखी और लज्जित कर दिया। उसने संत को प्रणाम किया और अपने काफिले के साथ अपने शिविर में लौट गया। सिकंदर ने आगे युद्ध करने को बंद करने का निर्णय लिया। उसने राजापुर को मुक्त कर दिया। उसने भारत के दूसरे भागों को भविष्य में जीतने की योजना भी स्थगित कर दिया।